I see a lot of people talking about and asking, is streaming as a job harder than a 9 to 5? This is a very interesting topic, and my answers are to be taken with a few grains of rice because I'm not technically a full-time streamer, but I've been streaming full-time. I've been a content creator for over a decade, and that has been my job. And only recently have we kind of pivoted to doing streaming full-time hours. But either way, I've been a full-time content creator. I think I'm going to talk more about that specifically than streaming. More or less, my answer is going to be very inconclusive because that question alone has a lot of caveats, and it comes down to it depends. It depends on what is the 9 to 5, what is the stream, what is the content, because it could be yes, it could be no. A lot of people say that it is harder, but all of those people are doing it full time. I've seen clips of people saying it's harder. I used to work a 9 to 5 and it was way easier than this. I've seen people say the opposite. I used to work a 9 to 5 and I'd rather go back. One of the biggest problems with being a full-time content creator versus having a more, we'll call it a traditional job, is the structure is very, very difficult to master. If you do not have skills in time management, then yes, being a full-time creator can absolutely be harder than a 9 to 5. Because when you have a basic 9 to 5, you have the structure that somebody else has put in place before you to where you are going to stop at 5 and then from there, gone. There's no thinking about it. There's no nothing. It is over. There is nothing really to think about towards your job until it becomes 9 again. Now, again, there are some jobs where this is not true. There are some 9 to 5s, there are some full-time jobs where you actually do need to do some work outside of that. It all depends on what you're doing because a 9 to 5 could range from something entry level. I refuse to use the term like low skill or no skill labor because when you list out those jobs, which is what, like cleaning, barista, food and stuff, no, you need skills. You definitely need skills. The skills are just a little less secret. If you're, let's say, someone who cleans as your 9 to 5, as your entry level job, that's just hard. It's really hard. I'm bad at cleaning. I am like not good at it. It's something like you practice. It's something that you do get better at. But realistically, unless you're like detail cleaning something that's specific, you might really not need training. You get cleaning supplies, you clean stuff, you gotta learn stuff like, oh, don't use this clean on this product on this type of surface, what have you. It's not something where you are sat in front of like a computer and you need to go through and use this program. And it's like, unless someone specifically tells me how to do this, I have no idea how to do this job. You have an idea. It's still skilled labor, but the knowledge is much less gatekept. So depending on the job, it can be easier, it can be harder. The thing is, once you're done with the job is over. But when you are a content creator, you're a musician, you're a streamer, you kind of think about it all the time. If you care very much about it, if it's your full-time job, even when you're not live, even when you're not recording, even when you're not posting, you're thinking about it. You're thinking about it. I've met a lot of creators. I've met a lot of streamers, musicians, a whole bunch of people. And one of the few commonalities amongst everybody is it is always on their mind. They're always thinking about it. What's the next video? What's the next song? What's the next stream idea? What can I do to make things either continue or grow? How do I keep this from stopping? Because when you stop, it could be over. That could be it. You could lose the momentum and you could drop a lot of the analytical success that you have found, and that's devastating. I can tell you firsthand. Depending on the type of streamer you are, I've had streams where I'm trying to be on. I don't really do that anymore because I'm old and I'm tired, but I'm trying to be like on. I'm trying to be entertaining. I'm trying to keep attention the entire time. I'm trying to just put all of my energy into being watchable, being entertaining, being content. That does suck the life out of you. One of the arguments is just like, if you do like a 5-6 hour stream and you are on, you are going to be mentally drained. You are going to be emotionally drained. You are going to be wiped out. That is true. There are 9 to 5s that do that, but there are also 9 to 5s that don't do that. There are some jobs where you can just kind of turn your brain off and you can autopilot. You can basically zombie through it. It depends on what it is you're doing. There's a lot of stuff where you're just staring at screens and you're I don't know if anyone's watched Severance, but there are jobs where you just It feels like you're in a monotonous process where you just move things around. Now, that's not to say that's not soul-sucking. That's not life-annihilating. That's a weird for it. It's not to say like that doesn't take away vitality. Like, yeah, afterwards you're gonna be like kind of dead. But once you can flip that switch and leave work, and then you go home, and then you are in home mode, you can be like, okay, I can decompress, I can recharge, I can relax, and then I'll be good to do it again tomorrow. When your basically life is your job, it is so hard to separate that. Today, for example, I started this stream at 5 p.m. I had a couple other things I did during the day. All day, this was what I thought about. This stream. And it's not that I like dreaded it. It's also not that I was like, oh, I can't wait. I was looking forward to the stream. Now we're streaming and it's fun. But there is the element of just like, what could I do? What am I going to do? I have this topic I want to talk about. I don't know. It could be this game I want to play. I have this concept I want to stream. And then up until you stream, there's a good chance you're going to second guess it. Right before I clicked go live, I said, maybe I won't talk about stuff. Maybe I'll just do something else. And then once this stream is over, I do stuff like gather clips, or I talk to other people who are in the space. I talk to my friends who also stream, and I'm like, how was your stream? How is that feeling? Oh, you are deep into the void and you want to give it all up? Well, damn! Versus like typical jobs that I've had, once I leave the job, I don't think about it until it's time to go back and do it again. I haven't had a ton of traditional jobs. So again, grain of rice, I might not be the best person to ask, but I have worked as a teacher and I have worked in kind of retail, I think. I don't know what I would call it. And I've worked in food service. So regardless of harder, I will say that this is way better than any of those other jobs. I definitely enjoy this for so many reasons. But there are things about the other jobs that I do miss. Because when you're a streamer, when you're a content creator, everything is your job. You have so many jobs. There's like 10 jobs right off the bat. You gotta be whatever kind of entertainer you are. You've gotta be your own strategist. You gotta be your own social media manager. You've gotta be your own editor. You've gotta be your own producer. And for the most part, these people learn these skills on the fly. I taught myself Photoshop because I needed to know how to make thumbnails, which is like the most important part. You got to do all these different jobs and hope that you can reach a certain point that you can pay other people to do these jobs if you don't enjoy them. There are aspects of the jobs I do enjoy sometimes. You got to do a bunch of jobs and you got to hope that you don't burn yourself out to hell before you can start hiring people. But the other jobs I had, I worked at a laser tag arena. The thing I miss about that was that the job was easy as hell. However, it was easy as hell because it was a failing business. It never took off. No one ever came. So literally I got paid minimum wage to show up and sit waiting for customers coming. And the boss would be like, you got to be busy, you know, not paying you to sit. I'm like, you kind of are, dude, because your business is fucking failing. But also I got to play laser tag and I got to tell people how to play laser tag. That was my first job. It was pretty fun. But even so, there were days where it was awful. You'd think like, oh, you get paid to show up and sit? What a dream. Do you have any idea how mentally taxing it is at a certain point to sit and do nothing? Because it's not sit on your phones. It's not sit and like, it's literally just sit. It is insanity inducing. The other job I had, aside from that and being a teacher, is I worked in food service. I will say that job, mentally, emotionally, much easier than being a content creator. Way easier than what I'm doing now, 100%. But oh my God, it was physically demanding. It was horrible. I don't know if I've ever even said this. For a month, I worked at Chipotle a long time ago. I was a cashier in food service. And at the time, they had me doing like 4 jobs. You'd think, oh, the cashier, that's pretty sick. You just ring people. No, they make you clean so much stuff. I don't know how it is now. This was a very long time ago. But in the first week that I worked at Chipotle, I lost 7 pounds. Every single day, halfway through, I was drenched in sweat. It wasn't like, oh, I had sweat stains or whatever. My shirt was 4 shades darker and 2 sizes larger. I was constantly running around. It was hot, so there was a lot of water weight and just, burning fat. And that sucked. What I had gone through to lose that much weight was horrible. It wasn't even full-time hours. Like, they had me part-time, but it was every day. But the stuff they had me do, like, I was sleeping 15 hours a day. It was the most fugue state of a month I have ever been through, because I would go work, I would leave work, I'd come home exhausted, I would pass out, and then I would just sleep until an hour before my shift, and I would get ready and I would go. I'll tell you what, I will take so many other jobs over that, but not all of them are streaming. Not all of them are content creation. But for a lot of people, that's how the streamer content creator life is. They stream very, very, very long hours and they are on. The most successful, that is their existence. And I think that is a concept that a lot of people aren't really bringing up enough in this discussion. They just talk about difficulty, and difficulty is so many different variables, so many different factors. There's so many different forms of difficulty, and it's just being oversimplified, I think, for the sake of clicks. Because like when your entire identity is wrapped up in this one thing, there's so much more riding on the line, not just finances, but like a lot of people who work jobs that are, you know, for a company, for someone else, that's not like their identity. It's just what they do. A job's a job. I just go do this thing for someone else. I get money and then I can use that money to live my life. When you're a content creator, when you're known for one thing and you are putting so many eggs into that basket and it doesn't go well for you, I can tell you firsthand, it is so goddamn devastating. It is humiliating. It's dehumanizing, and no one's doing it to you but yourself. When I put a lot of effort, when I put a lot of time, a lot of thought, idea, money, creativity into a project, as much as I will tell myself it's about the content, it's about how it makes me feel, I made it, I'm happy it exists, that's all that matters. If it doesn't perform well, that doesn't change anything. It changes things, and that depends on the person. I have a really, really difficult time when things don't perform analytically. But for a lot of people who get into this space, they're kind of the same because they wrap so much of their value up in numbers. It's very, very hard. Do you set hours to do stuff, or is it just I finish what? Yeah, that's another thing. Especially when you're in like a creative field with music, it is so much harder because I only work when I have an idea. And let me tell you, I have not mastered the art of choosing when I get an idea. And I've tried to adapt that. It is so much harder because especially with like a lot of songwriting, granted, you don't need a lot of tools and gear to get into songwriting. The way I songwrite, I do not have a really great way to do it like anywhere. So it's usually like I could wake up and be like, I have an idea, and I run down into my studio and just get on this idea before it leaves. Or it'll be like, I'm about to go to bed. Oh no, I have an idea. Suddenly I am up till like 3 or 4 in the morning because I had an idea. I had a hyperfixation and I had to get it down and work on it before it left. Because you don't know if that idea is going to leave forever, if it's going to come back. But now that's getting into music versus streaming, and it's supposed to be streaming music, content creation versus traditional job. I don't know if I made any kind of real points because I didn't land on which one's harder. The only thing I said is it depends. But from my experience, at the end of the day, I choose this job over the other more traditional things I had. But I understand why people get so defensive because this is their job and they're passionate about it. So when people look down on it, they want to prove that there is value. What they do is not a joke, and it's not just some dumb, easy, oh, I literally just turn on Fortnite and become a millionaire, because that actually doesn't happen to a lot of people. But there is a lot of stigma to being a streamer, a content creator, when people assume that your job means you're probably the kind of person who scams people with cryptocurrency or posts content that's offensive to an entire culture and you make money trying to offend an entire culture. You're going to be like, no, that's not how it is. Woo! So I get the debate. I get where people are coming from. I feel like this applies to a lot of debates. People who land so far to one side or another are neglecting nuance because of personal feelings. I know it's hard not to, that's human nature, but what it comes down to is if someone says you're a streamer, your job is easy, they don't understand. And if you are instantly like, no, streaming's harder than any 9-to-5 job, you don't understand. And I think we all just need to understand, but I also get farming those clicks is so goddamn nice. That's why I'm talking about it. And that's a video.